Good day, everybody. This is the Triple Threat Podcast, episode something or other. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I hope you're listening and enjoying yourself today. My name is Alex Vaughn. I am 1/3 of the podcast. With me are William Vaughn on the West Coast. Will, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks a lot for asking me.
That's fantastic. I'm glad to hear it. And from Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, or currently residing in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Matthew Vaughn. Matt, how you doing?
I'm doing well. At this point, I am no longer residing in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, though.
Whoa. Where the heck are you?
Well.
Time and space is being moved.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So, it's hard to explain. It's kind of like Inception, but yeah.
Hey, folks.
It's like Inception, but better. You might not believe that, but hey.
How about those current World Cup matchups? Isn't that crazy?
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
The goals and the...
Okay, guys, what happens if there's like a terrorist attack at the World Cup? We'll feel
okay,
really bad
that's
about
a horrible thing to say.
Well, you think of the worst. Consider these things.
They're probably still going to do it. They're still going to have the...
Right, yeah. Unless Bane comes out and he says, no more soccer played.
Well, he's a fictional character, right?
Played by a real man named Tom Hardy.
Well, yeah.
Who has the mask.
So wait, are you saying Tom Hardy? Anyway, let's not... Yeah, no.
All right, we got to start this over again. Welcome, folks. Oh, God.
So, today on the podcast, we are discussing the Lana Del Rey song Video Games. Is that correct?
Yeah, Alex, maybe you should start us off on that.
Okay. Well, Lana Del Rey is a singer from
Okay, hold on. I got to correct you right there.
She's from LA.
She is kind of a singer.
She is a
She's a spoken word artist.
I was going to say a speak talker, but
actually, you know what? There is a kind of style of music I remember reading once about. Who sings? Shoot, this is really bad.
Cisco?
No. Think of the band where the Romeo and Juliet song. What's the other? Oh my
Sixpence
gosh!
None the Richer?
Dire Straits. The lead singer of Dire Straits, Mark Knopfler. There's a German word they use to describe how he, quote unquote, sings. Mm-hmm. Let's see if I can find it here real quick.
Check out Guitar George. He knows all the chords.
Yeah, exactly. It's like Schluschen something.
That one's for you, Dad.
Yeah. I don't know. Something German.
Well, doesn't Weird Al do a song with his in it? Like he sings the Beverly Hillbillies song like him or something like that. I thought maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah. It's Money for Nothing, but it's Beverly Hillbillies. Beverly.
What'd I say?
You were right.
Oh, okay. I thought you were correct.
Yeah, no, you're not. Sorry.
Don't correct a correct person.
We're not
Everyone's right.
We're not recanting
Everyone's
you.
Right.
We're backing you up, man.
Yeah, you
Okay.
and recanting. All right, why don't you guys tell them what we're talking about? Because apparently I don't know.
You exactly know what we're talking about because we talked about it just a couple of last week ago. This week,
that was so long ago, though.
We're discussing what, I'm speaking on my behalf at least, was a big part of my childhood, and it was in and out of all of ours. Matt, I'd say Matt, you're the next in line, and Alex, you less so because you're busy playing actual sports. Are growing up with our Uncle Nintendo. He was
our Japanese uncle.
Our Japanese
under the TV.
Yeah, a Japanese uncle Nintendo. Back in the day, I can't remember what year we got this thing because it must have been the early '90s. So I think we got the Nintendo.
Yeah, Nintendo was the first system we had.
Well, yeah, and it was the first ever NES. So this is the system that most kids around my age, at least, had. With the some of them got like that bundle. They had the system with the two controllers and the zapper gun. Of course, they didn't call it a gun; they just called it a zapper. But it was clearly a gun. They just don't want to have kids running around with guns. But they had the gun for Duck Hunt and
okay. Can I
Mario
stop right
1.
There?
Yeah.
Did you guys know? Or maybe I just read this and it's absolutely not true. But apparently, Duck Hunt was a 2-player game.
You could do two.
You could plug the controller in, and a person could move the ducks while the other person shot.
Oh, okay. That I did not know.
That.
Is that true?
I don't know. I don't know.
That's easy.
If the dog from Duck Hunt could call in.
Well, what they just discovered is and this is funny. This is like they unearthed the mummy. They just discovered a glitch in Super Mario Brothers 1, where it's an infinite lives glitch, and I choose not to describe it to you under fear of either A, being incorrect, or 2, being long-winded, but or D, just being flat out wrong, or epsilon, whatever. But versus Duck Hunt, okay, 2 light guns and 2 players at once is an arcade game in the Nintendo Versus series in 1984. So I think that was it. There was a 2-player mode, but it wasn't on the original Duck Hunt cartridge.
Okay. I heard that at some point, and I was like, "What?"
So there was a bundle, there was that split cartridge that had Duck Hunt and Mario Brothers on it, and we never had Duck Hunt growing up.
No, we never did.
One major game we didn't have. We had I think we had all 3 Mario games. No, we didn't have 2. I don't think we had 2. I think we had 1 and 3.
Well, we ended up getting them all in Super Mario All-Stars on the Super.
That's
Nintendo.
correct, with the bonus Lost Levels for Super Mario Brothers 2 that was released in Japan only.
Right.
Yeah. I remember having that first Nintendo, man, and it's funny going back and playing those old games now. They are so unforgiving as far as what they give you for saves, how difficult they are. They're so much harder now.
You have two hits and you're dead. I found a few websites today. Obviously, through the magic of emulation, you can play all sorts of games on your computer. But there's some websites that have it so they built the emulator and the ROM, as they call it, into an actual part on your computer, so you can just play it without downloading anything. And I found one such website that had dozens and dozens of games. So today I played Double Dragon, Adventure Island, and RBI Baseball.
RBI Baseball. I remember that one. I remember the song. It's like doon 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 doon. I remember that.
Blades of Steel.
Yeah, and Blades of Steel I recently played as soon as 2 weeks ago. As recently as 2 weeks ago.
You're going to have to tell me these websites because I am extraordinarily interested.
Well, okay, so what I do...
I have
much more than I was when I was of age.
I'm more above board than Matt is. I buy it all on Virtual Console on the Wii or on the Wii U, which is...
Not all these things are available on.
Not all these games are, but Blades of Steel is. All the big ones are. I'll say.
So, how much would Blades of Steel, and by wood, how much did Blades of Steel cost you
on Virtual Console? $4.
Wow, that's a ripoff.
Yeah, I got a bunch of old Virtual Console's great. Nintendo, big, they're friends of the show, sponsors even. But I think the way Virtual Console works, I think N64 games are N64 games are $10. Super Nintendo games are $8, and Nintendo games, I think I might be wrong actually. Nintendo games are maybe $5 or $6.
Okay, how much are GameCube games?
They aren't on Virtual Console.
They just choose to pretend it doesn't exist.
Well, they can't really support it yet.
What do you mean?
Well, they can't support those graphics. What they do have though on Virtual Console for the Wii U that they don't have for the 3DS is Game Boy Advance games, which I think is rather curious. They only have these things. Yeah, that's interesting. But on 3DS, they have Game Boy Color games. So I have a bunch of, and those are $6 each or $7 each. So I got a bunch of Zelda games on there.
Smart. Also,
something cool that Nintendo did when you bought Mario Kart 8, like everyone should have if you have a Wii U, they give you a free game with it. They give
I was just playing that the other day. It was awesome.
Oh, it's an incredible game.
So good.
And it's just
I'd explain
amazing.
to everyone who Ludwig and Lemmy and
it's
Morton and
kids,
Wendy
man.
were.
Yeah.
They're like, who are these people? It's like, those are Bowser's kids from Super Nintendo. They guarded all the castles. And they're like,
no, they're from Mario Brothers 3.
Oh, I thought they were from Super Mario World.
No,
they're from both.
Well, they are in both, but they first appeared in 3.
Oh, you're correct.
Oh, that's right.
That is
right. That's
right. Sorry. I know them from Super Mario World, so we're both correct.
Because we never got really far in Super Mario Brothers 3 because it was so freaking hard.
Well, once you get to level 8, I mean, there's nowhere to go. I mean, it's very difficult.
It's pretty much impossible.
World 8, rather.
Are there more worlds than that?
No, it's World. That's the last one, but it's almost impenetrable. You have to get through 5 very difficult levels.
Yeah, you have to walk across this little black square. It's the black squares with concentric circles, and this hand grabs you down and brings you down to the level if you try to sneak by it. But you end up having to beat all of them. Basically, the only way you can get through it is if you have 100 lives.
Yeah,
really. But Mario, it's interesting because I'll talk about my favorite game franchise in a second. But Mario is always something he's never been my favorite, but we've played the heck out of this guy, right? We've always had these Mario games. Even on Virtual Console, I can go to Mario Brothers 1 and still enjoy myself. That game came out in 1985. That game's almost 30 years old. Am I right? 30 years old. Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Way to go, math. That game's almost 30 years old, and it holds up. You know, it's a classic. And it's interesting, like, that game's...
Do they improve the graphics at all in the emulators or the virtual console?
No, the virtual console games are just a straight port, like, just straight up. And what they do add is what they call restore points. So I was just playing Super Castlevania 4 today, and I was... that's a difficult game. And I only got as far as I could because of restore points. Because these are the kind of games, like, if you lose 3 lives, you start at the very back of the very top of the world, and you have to play through everything you already played through, but you have to get that one jump right. Or, you know, you have to be able to kill that one guy that killed you before.
Oh, that one jump where you have to get rid of Yoshi?
Yeah, that's a swig of coffee for Yoshi right here, man. Yeah. That little dinosaur has been through a lot.
Just heartbreak, yeah.
Just absolutely heartbreaking. So we had the original Nintendo. What games did we have for it? So we had Mario 1 and 3 eventually.
Yep. Did you get 3 for your birthday?
I don't think so. I don't think any of us got a game for our birthday until we got a little older. Because games and systems for us, it was like a bit like for kids. Like, because I just went out and bought a Wii U, you know, on a Sunday on a whim, right? I was just kind of like, just show up and buy it. Here we go. Bring it home. Take a day to set it up, and then, you know, go to town. But for kids, this is Christmas, man. This is like, Mom, you know, Dad, we want this system. So I don't remember which Christmas. I don't know if we got the Nintendo on Christmas. Do you guys remember? I would have been the oldest. Matt, you would have been like maybe
straight up a baby.
Matt, I remember, straight up baby face. You wanted to just watch us play video games.
Yeah, I remember.
You just want to sit there and watch it.
When I was playing, I was horrible because I was a tiny child.
Yes.
So I wanted to watch people play. I remember, like, when I
you were like Simon Birch.
Who's that?
It's a movie character.
Oh, okay. Anyway, when I found Adventure Island today, I remembered I made my babysitters play that. Yeah,
babysitters were better at the video games than we were because they were a little bit older. I think one of them beat Mario 2 for us. I think cause it was either our babysitters or our cousins. I know our cousins were really into a bunch of video games too. They had like all this stuff, but they're way better at it than we were. We didn't have the patience.
I think they just had the cognitive
faculties
that we did not have.
So B is jump, so I have to jump here, so I'll press that instead of punching into a pit.
Well, for the longest time, I thought the jump button in Mario would have been up because that seemed to me to make the most sense.
Yeah,
and instead of A, which you know, the letter A doesn't mean jump in any language. I think.
Well, A rhymes with J, and J is the
rhymes
first
with
letter in jump.
Yeah, that's true. That's
so,
I don't
know
is that
what
why?
else you want me to do.
And that's why B is the run button, because you make a beeline for something.
Or is A means ascend, so when you're jumping, you're ascending, and that's what happens.
And B means brusquely move forward, right?
Yes.
Or beat it, like you're getting out of there.
Yeah, and then Michael Jackson shows up, and, you know, it's a whole thing. So we had, we had those Mario games. We had RBI Baseball. We had Blades of Steel.
As far as I know, these games just appeared. I don't know where they came from.
Yeah,
honestly, me too. I think, you know what I think it was. I think we got it from Michael. I think it's who we got it from, because we got his Nintendo secondhand.
If Mom and Dad want to tell one of us, we can kind of explain this a bit further. Next
they probably bought us. I mean, obviously they bought us some, but you're a 5-year-old kid or whatever. She was like, there's a game here. I don't remember.
The only game I remember them buying on a whim was Mario Kart. The first Mario Kart game. Dad came home with it from somewhere, from the land of video games, far beyond yonder, which is the greatest place I've ever heard of. So we had Blades of Steel. We had this game called Kid Niki Radical Ninja.
I do not remember that at all.
I remember the opening cinematic, which was like he's just in school and he jumps out of the window and it says "Ninja School, we'll help you," and you just go along kicking and punching dudes. Nobody else heard of this game. I'm pretty sure the cartridge was pink. It was a bright pink cartridge.
I want to disagree with. There's no way that we own that game. That doesn't.
Kid Niki Radical Ninja. I'm 100% positive we own that game.
You didn't have a friend who owned it that you played?
Nope,
like, I'm looking at screenshots here
house.
and there's nothing. This is
now. Where are you finding the screenshots? Because I can't find this guy on
Kid Niki, and it's Niki.
Yeah.
just
Oh,
Google it.
Niki. Oh, it was 1K.
Yeah, as
Kid
though he
Niki,
were
Radical Ninja. There he is. Okay, I thought it was two Ks.
Jonathan Lipnicki, Radical Ninja.
Kid Niki, Radical Ninja. And now the more I look at it, the more it looks like Dragon Ball or something like that.
Yeah, it does.
Kid
Well, it looks
Niki, Radical Ninja by Data East. I remember this game so well. Oh, there's a guide, a strategy wiki.
I'm going to officially say that we did not own this.
I'm going to officially.
You can disagree, and I'm fine with that.
I'm okay with that.
I want to know why you're so sure and why I'm so sure the opposite.
Because I have better memory than you.
But I don't even remember a pink cartridge, and I spent time with the Nintendo as I got older too.
It was either a pink cartridge, but if you look at the box art is pink.
Well, I don't remember any boxes. I remember I saw some boxes online, and I was like, I don't know any boxes for any games that I've ever played here.
You'd recognize some. Anyway, I remember that being like one of the most clearly obscure games that we had. I remember nobody else had that game. Kid Niki, Radical Ninja. I was a big fan. I couldn't get beyond Death Breath, though, in the first level. But we also had The Legend of Zelda and The Legend of Zelda 2. Adventure of Link.
Adventure Link.
That's an interesting game, the second one. It's very different.
That game is so hard. It's interesting because the first Zelda games is a straight top-down dungeon crawler, we'll say. And I realized something the other day. These dungeons in Zeldas, and I've been playing the heck out of Zeldas recently. I'm playing through a bunch that I either couldn't beat back in the day or just didn't have the patience for. I'm like, I'm going to finish. I'm going to finish what I started. They're less so dungeons and more so just obstacle courses. Because, it's not a dungeon if you're not locked up in chains in a cell, to me. And it's also not a dungeon if you can find the key in a chest just in a room and, move a box over and be able to ascend to a higher plane. So they're more obstacle courses, really, than dungeons. My opinion.
Maybe it's just a catch-all term for stuff.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's called a dungeon crawler. It's not called an obstacle course.
Is that an official term?
Dungeon crawler? Yeah. I'd say it's an official term. I mean, there's not a lot of games like Zelda really that are that good. There's RPGs which are different.
Yeah.
And I never got really into RPGs. The only RPG I beat, I think, was
Super Mario RPG?
No, which I have on Virtual Console. But I think the only one I beat was Pokemon Red.
Oh, right.
That might be the only RPG that would count. It might be the only RPG I've beaten. But as far as Zeldas go, we played the heck. Mom was a huge Zelda fan. She beat the first one.
Yes.
Mom loved that stuff. We also had Tetris. They also loved Tetris.
Oh,
they liked
Tetris.
Mario Brothers 1.
Oh yeah, well, can you explain what the difference? Like, what was Zelda 2 though? Like, I can't even remember what
Zelda
exactly
2
it
was primarily a side scroller, and this opening screen of the game is you in a temple with a sleeping Zelda behind you, which apparently is a different Zelda than the Zelda from the first game.
Okay, hold on a second.
This is
how is that possible?
It's I don't know. This is just what I've read.
That
So it's a different Princess Zelda, and she's sleeping. And you embark on a journey. And it's a top-down, but it's more like an RPG where a monster will come out and touch you, and then all of a sudden you're in a side-scrolling world. So you can be in a field, a forest, a swamp, a dungeon, and you can attack high, you can attack low, you can use your shield, you can jump. And it was really, really, really hard. I don't know a single person who beat that game. Everybody knows you face Shadow Link at the end, and he's impossible, but the whole game is so hard.
Yeah,
it's so hard that
ridiculous.
when you lose your entire life, you start back at that temple, and you have to move on from there. It's really, really difficult. And this is back in the day, man. You needed a player's guide to know all the secrets. There's like impossible secrets to learn.
There was no internet to look up.
No, you couldn't look this stuff up.
No.
But
that game I remember specifically for being not like really any other Zelda game, and
That's
like
right.
it's the one that kind of sticks out, and B being very, very hard, kind of like Super Mario 2, or sorry, Mario 2 for
The Lost Levels.
Lost Levels. That was a really weird game because I heard like it doesn't match any other game, and it hasn't since.
Oh, do you mean like you don't mean Lost Levels? Do you? Do you mean the one where Princess Peach can float?
Yeah, and
it's all,
Luigi's
like,
got like
dreams
the
and
really can jump really far. I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking of a Super
No,
Nintendo one.
No, I played that yesterday. That's Super Mario 2.
No, that's Super Mario 2. That was the one that the U.S. got, which was a reskin of this game called Doki
Yeah, it was a
Doki
reskin
Panic.
of a completely different game.
Yeah.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Is that really what they did?
Yeah.
Interesting.
That's why nothing matches.
Okay, I'm looking now, and this makes a lot more sense. Well, it's interesting because I think they just said, "Oh, it was a dream," and as a kid, I was like, "Okay," but looking back on it, it's like such a bold thing to do. You have this really classic game, and you completely change all of the gameplay, and just say, "Oh, yeah."
Well, in the first game, you jump on an enemy and they die. Or sometimes you jump on an enemy and their shell pops out, and then you got to shoot their shell around. But in this game, you jump on an enemy and they just carry you. Yeah. And you got to pick them up and throw them. Or you got to pick up, these vegetables out of the ground. Yeah.
Onions,
throw them at their face.
The ground.
And you can be either Mario, Luigi, and in the first game, they had the exact same abilities. One was just skinny, one was fat, but they jumped the same, they moved the exact same. In fact, they pretty much were the same.
Well, actually, in the first
skins.
one, they were pretty much identical, were they not?
Oh, they were 100% identical. They were just different colors, but that was to have a two-player mode. In this game, you can play as Mario or Luigi, and Luigi could kick his legs up in the air, which he still does in New Super Mario Brothers. In the game that they have for Wii
some
U.
Stuff actually has carried over. I think that was the first instance of Shy Guy, and he's been around ever since.
Yeah, but it's incredible how even these new Super Mario Brothers games are just 8-world platformers, and you go from level to level, and it holds up so well. And they can come up with any manner of pattern for you to have to overcome, and it's still really challenging. I mean, New Super Mario Brothers for Wii U is a very challenging game for me. And this is a game where you can, save at certain points. You can get as many lives as you want, but it's still really difficult. And a lot of fun. And so in Mario 2, you can also be Princess Toadstool. She wasn't called Peach at the time. She wasn't called Peach until Mario 64. But Toadstool could jump and float back and forth a little bit.
And then Toad, right?
And then Toad was just... Yeah, apparently his skill is that he's fast. But maybe that's in Super Mario 3D World.
Well, maybe, but he was very squat, and if he was fast, it's funny because speed doesn't really matter in that game.
Not really. There wasn't really anybody you had to outrun. I don't even think there was a time limit in the levels.
Yeah. I always picked Peach and sometimes Luigi because I thought the way he jumped was funny.
Well, Peach was great, but you had to know how to time her jump right, because if you jumped and you didn't float her enough, or she wouldn't land at the right time. There's some levels where a log would come down a waterfall. And if you're Peach and you miss that, you're going to float for a second, and you miss that log, you're done for. It's serious stuff.
It's tough.
So that's one of the games we didn't own until we got Super Mario All-Stars for the Super Nintendo. And I remember those Super Nintendo commercials, man. I mean, the Nintendo system, the NES, was an 8-bit system. What does that mean? You can have 8 colors on screen at a time? Pardon me. Is that what that means?
I don't know. I mean, obviously the graphics are definitely affected by that because all the Nintendo games all look very blocky.
Is that what we're saying? What's the difference between 8 and 16?
8 and 16 and 32 and 64, all those bits.
I thought it was memory in the cartridge, but that's probably not possible now. That can't be true.
No, it's got to have something to do with that. But the graphical improvement between Mario 1 and Mario 3 is substantial. I mean, Mario 1 looks very, 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 very old. And Mario 3 looks a lot better if you compare the two side by side. Even Mario 2 looks a lot better. It's a very colorful game.
Yeah, absolutely. Very colorful.
So we had those, and and then the Super Nintendo came out in, I think, 90 or 91, and we got ours a couple of years after. I think that's the system we spent probably the most time with. Actually, the 64 we spent a lot of time with.
Kind of split that down the middle.
Yeah, because by the time we got around to 64, and we're jumping a little bit, but I'll backtrack to Super in a sec. By the time we got 64, we had, I guess, some of our own money. So I think when Zelda came out, no, I think we got that for Christmas. I just remember with N64, we were more current because we got it the year it came out, I think.
Zelda was the first to somebody from somebody else.
Well, that was Zelda. That was Link to the Past.
Oh, okay.
Remember, we rented Link to the Past a bunch of times. We actually rented a Super Nintendo. I remember playing it in Mom and Dad's room. We rented the Super Nintendo. We played Link to the Past in there.
I remember that.
and it was amazing because it was like
I think it was down at whatever last GameStop or whatever that used to be
Microplay. It was Microplay and then Gameplay in the last game store and then a flower shop.
And it would kind of be like up in like a briefcase of some sort, and you bring it all home and unpack it.
Yeah, and I remember renting out systems at Rogers Video like that.
Oh yeah, you would also take
I guess I did that at
Blockbuster. Yeah,
no one did it.
Yeah, well, that's interesting that they used to do that. I remember you used to take your report card. And you
get a free game rental.
You get a free game rental.
That's true.
Because you passed grade 4.
I don't know, because the report card would say if you did or didn't. Like, it didn't have to be a good report card; it just had to be a report card.
A report card.
Yeah, they didn't care. They didn't care about your stats. They didn't care about your grades. I mean, if you're handing in your report card for a free video game rental, your grades probably aren't that high anyway. Let's be honest with you.
I mean, ours are pretty good.
We did okay.
Oh, I had all E's and VGs. I mean, they weren't crazy dummies. Just
no. What was the bad one? Like B or something?
FP or something.
FB?
FP, and that was fair progress. And then there was something about like concern or something like that.
And there was good, very good, and excellent.
Yeah.
Which you could
G,
sub.
B, G, and E.
You could sub these all out for letters like very easily, but the traditional
like a great
letters.
like
Obviously,
A,
those
B, C. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's, for the record, to anyone listening who's didn't go to the same elementary school we did, that was just grades primary through 6. So once we hit the elder years of junior high and high school, they actually gave us number grades.
Yeah. Well, we hardly ever got letter grades, but we rented
university.
We rented the Super Nintendo. Now, do we remember what the system was when we had? It was a keyboard you plugged a cartridge into and you played it in front of your TV. What was that called? Because I remember there's this game called Stomp the Wampus on it that was next to impossible. You go through a maze and you try to find this creature, and it won like every single darn time.
Stomp the Wombat?
It was the Wampus, I think.
A Wampus? What's a Wampus?
I remember it being the Wampus.
Hold on. I'm looking these up online here to see if there's any. Gosh.
Yeah,
nothing.
This might be a hard one, folks. Containing Stomp the Wampus. Is that gonna find it? No, it's not. It doesn't exist.
Yeah, I remember it came up as an autocorrect for me. Like, did you mean Stomp the Wampus? I'm like, I did. And it's like, there's nothing on that either.
Thank you, Google.
You idiot. But I remember
Still
we
nothing.
had that keyboard. It was a keyboard and it just played like very certain games.
I do not remember that.
Well, I guess that's going back a little bit too far. You guys remember being born? I remember being born.
Absolutely have no recollection of that.
Pretty much going back as far as we
can.
You
or me being born.
So Super Nintendo brought a whole new... It basically doubled our enjoyment of video games. It brought out Super Mario World, where Mario could get a little dino pal named Yoshi, and it also had 8 worlds, and it had the Koopa Kids came back. It had, Yoshi's Island, Donut Plains, Vanilla Dome, Macaroni Bridge,
the Clam Dome,
It had Chocolate Island, which always made me hungry, especially around Easter time. And it had I remember you could beat Bowser over and over again because if you saved the game at Bowser's Gate, you just had to play through his castle, which wasn't that hard. But you remember fighting Bowser and he was in that floating clown face dealie.
Oh yeah,
throw things out,
and he would throw all those Mecha Koopas at you, and you jump on them, and you and you throw them at him. I remember that. But so what do we have for Super Nintendo? So we had Mario World. Eventually, we got Mario All Stars.
Mario Kart would have been part of that as well.
Mario Kart we had.
Link to the Past.
Well, Link to the Past I'll get to because it's my favorite video game of all time.
It's the greatest.
There's a subsection. There's all the subsection to all this. We also had Stanley Cup. Which I really wish we had the EA games instead. Sorry, folks, Mom and Dad.
Well, wasn't it funny because the gameplay was like if you had the puck, it was like you were on the ice and you were just facing the net that you're shooting on.
It was
the other team gets it. It would just flip it, like the camera would swing around, and it would happen every time.
It used Mode 7 technology, which is the same technology used in Mario Kart.
What does that mean?
Mode 7 is what's used to make basically your character stays still, but the ground underneath you moves.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, see, it uses NHL's Mode 7 hardware. So basically your guy would be standing still, but they would move the ground about him. so it would look like he's the one skating around. So to make it more like 3D and super hip and cool. But there was a terrible glitch in that game where if you took the penalties off, anytime a penalty took place, your goalie would still leave the net. And since whenever the next team to touch it won't get blown for a penalty, they could just score on your empty net. And I could never figure out why the net was empty. But I remember like during
figured it out now.
They'd have intermissions and nothing would happen during the game. Like we'd score no goals, and the reporter was like, "Well, following another lackluster period."
Because I remember I was like, "What does lackluster mean?" I'm sure that's a good thing.
Yeah,
they wouldn't make fun of us for playing a game while we're playing the game, wouldn't they?
Yeah, they would. But that's when we had to shoot it behind the net. Maybe you guys already said this, but shoot it behind the net, wait for the goalie to go to play it. Skate past them and score. That's the only way you could score.
Oh, the AI.
The goalie could not be in the net for you to score ever.
Yeah, the AI was complete garbage.
Ever.
It was just terrible.
Blades of Steel right now is much more fun to go back and play.
Sure.
Blades of Steel is because the shooting mechanic in that game is so ridiculous. Just an arrow going up and down, and you just have to shoot it at a certain time. And not only are you playing as the guys on the ice, as your skaters, but you're also playing as your goaltender. So you have to have like almost split your brain in twain and play as both sides. And
split your brain in twain.
Split your brain in twain. Yeah, I said that right. We can edit that out. But I remember it's also Blades of Steel was a game not licensed by the NHL, so you could play as Edmonton, Vancouver, Montreal, Toronto, and their colors would be nowhere near the colors of the actual NHL.
You know what? I just looked into that today because I was looking up Blades of Steel, getting excited for this, and I saw that for they kind of explained what teams had the colors and why. So actually, so 3/4 of the teams actually did have pretty much the same. The biggest changes were Edmonton had the CFL Edmonton Eskimos colors that were green and yellow. Minnesota had Vikings colors. Yeah.
Oh, so they big football fans programming this game.
Well, yeah, so they plucked them from elsewhere, which I think is interesting.
Ain't that some ish?
Yeah, it was fun. Well, there was also that game it was NHLPA game that came out, I think, during one of the lockouts or something like that. And that was only sort of licensed by the NHL. And so, for instance, there weren't any team names. It was just the names of the places they played. So you could play as a team from Long Island and from Denver, even though neither one of those places were called those things. They were called New York Islanders and Colorado Avalanche.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of odd stuff in there as well. Also, going through Nintendo and Super Nintendo games, there are like a billion football games.
This is, by the way, sorry to interrupt. This is NHLPA Hockey 93.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Okay, I got the time.
And that was for Sega. It was for Mega Drive and Genesis and SNES. Yeah. And it said it had NHLPA license, but not an NHL license. Game included all player names and numbers, but not real team names or logos. And on the front of the game, it's clearly the Rangers.
Yeah.
But
you
can see number 24, and the logo's just blued out. But it has all the players on the front, just no.
Oh, that's funny.
That's really funny.
I see Roenick, maybe no. Adam Oates, no. Oh, the picture's way too small. Steve Yzerman.
Is that Kirk Muller?
Thanks, Bill.
Okay, I'll stop looking at the picture and trying to read small letters.
That's pretty great.
That's an interesting stat for you trivia fans out there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wish I like the EA NHL games a whole lot, but we never had really one of those. I would play it at friends' houses, and they would beat the crud out of me. And it's amazing how far those games have come over the years.
Andy Moose and Pat LaFontaine.
Oh, Patty laughs.
Yeah, but Andy Moose is the best. Is that his name? Moose. Andy Moog?
Andy Moog, yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, my G's and S's look the same, I guess. So,
so not only are you bad at remembering stories, but your G's and S's. That bump at RCW really did a number on you.
Yeah, it really did a number on me.
Yeah,
I'm feeling the ill effects.
People say they're fine. He is not fine. Know. What else do we have? Oh, on Super Nintendo, we eventually got Donkey Kong Country.
Oh,
that game was awesome. We played the heck out of that game.
Anything involving a cart in that game was awesome.
Oh, the Minecart Carnage? That level
the gameplay in that was awesome.
That game, and I held Y the entire time. I think it's the only game I ran through the entire thing. and you fought King K. Rool at the end. And then they came out with Donkey Kong Country 2, Diddy's Kong Quest, which was really, really hard. Do you remember how hard that game was with Diddy and Trixie could spin around with their ponytail? Right.
And then she had her own sequel after that, and it was with her dumb brother or something like that. Do you remember Donkey Kong Country 3 with her and I don't remember, there was like a dumb monkey that was her brother?
That was in Donkey Kong Country 3.
Yeah.
That's what he said.
Oh, okay. I lost it.
Sorry.
I'm game Donkey Kong Country 3? No, that was Donkey Kong Country 3.
No, sorry. He futzed out there for a second.
Oh, okay.
It's his fault. Yeah, and
sorry,
she
guys.
had Donkey Kong Country 3. I remember you started out in like a lake level and you hit a spider or something. But it was like what was his name? Oh, I'm gonna look it up. But you remember the Donkey Kong Country when it came out had like 32-bit graphics?
It came out in 1994.
94, yeah.
Is that crazy?
This is yeah, it was 94.
It was great. It looks so good. I was playing it earlier, and it looks very, very good. And I couldn't get over how the high quality. It blew my mind.
Yeah, it was a real graphical improvement over everything. Oh, was there Kitty Kong was the name of that other Kong, the little Kong.
Okay, that makes sense.
Interesting. It was made by Retro Studios instead of Rare Studios. How about that? Yeah, Donkey Kong Country, man. We had a lot of fun with that. I remember that game very, very well. The graphics were awesome in that game. What else do we have on Super Nintendo? That was about it. You know, we never had the Super Scope. We never had anything you could shoot stuff with. But apparently the Super Scope was probably a pretty big... Probably wasn't that fun.
It was very useful for when we played guns.
Well, yeah, because some kid
Which
always
when you're
had...
a kid, that's a game you play. It's not called anything other than guns.
It's just called guns.
Just called guns. You run around with guns. You pretend to shoot
because one
each
kid
other.
always had they always had the Super Scope without any batteries and without the viewfinder on it. It was just like a bazooka, basically, is what that thing became. Became a $100 bazooka toy for kids to run around and shoot each other with. That's from way back in the day.
Yeah. What game did it come with, or what was the point? Did you guys remember that?
It came with a game called like Super Scope 6 or something, which had a bunch of like mini games where you just shot stuff on your TV screen. That was about it. I think it was bundled with that game. Super Scope 6. Cartridge contains 6 games that require the Super Scope to play. It has Blastrous A, Blastrous B, Mole Patrol, Laser Blazer.
Laser Blazer.
Blade, Laser, Blazer. Yeah, it had all that. But my favorite game for the Super Nintendo was Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. By far...
We tried to bring it up several times, which Will would not allow us to do. So clearly he's got a lot to say on it.
I have a lot to say about it. This is what I had to say about it. It's a very good game.
Thanks, Bert.
All right, moving on. I have to say about my favorite game, and it is my favorite.
My favorite game.
No, it was my favorite game, and for some reason we kept like renting it or borrowing it, and we never owned it until one Christmas we asked for like a used copy from Microplay, and yes, that was the infamous from somebody else Christmas fiasco.
It was not a fiasco. It started a great trend.
That's true.
Remember our audience. It's mostly our mother.
About 50% of our audience is mom.
The other 50% is dad.
The other 50% being dad.
Eating their potatoes at the table. That was an awesome game, and Mom also liked that one a lot. But that game I just remember from the story and everything. Like, it was a game that like it started out a certain way. You thought you had to beat these 3 levels and get the Master Sword, and then that's when the game kind of really started, because then you get sent to the Dark World, and you have 7 more dungeons to play through. So I think there's like
and a castle. Well, I guess
and a castle. Like there's about 11 or 12 total dungeons in that game, because the game starts out with you rescuing Zelda, and then she gets taken by. This is also the first time Zelda introduced kind of, and they've done it kind of ever since. But they've had like one bad guy, which was Prince Aghanim. He was a wizard, and then you killed him, and then it turns out you were actually going to fight Ganon the whole time. So these games usually have like one bad guy, like in Twilight Princess, which I'm playing right now. It has this bad guy named Zant.
Twilight Princess?
Twilight Princess. This bad guy, this dude named Zant, who's like this evil wizard guy. But of course, you don't fight Zant at the end; you fight Ganon at the end.
Is he ever going to catch on?
No, he wants that power, man. And who are you?
No,
to
I
stand
mean,
in
is
his way?
Link ever going to catch on that is going to be Ganon every time?
Link, you know what? Link's a cool dude because he just kind of rolls with whatever's happening. He never turns down a challenge. He never gets scared and runs away. He always goes in headlong, sword and shield in hand.
I'd be running away all the time.
Can I tell you guys something a little bit funny about Super Nintendo?
Yes.
I don't know, Will, can we let him tell us? Okay.
Come on, guys. Come on. Let me do it.
Go ahead.
The podcast that the listeners are currently listening to is twice the size of one Super Nintendo cartridge.
There you go.
So this audio podcast you're listening to is 2 Super Nintendo games in size. Just to give you an idea
for free,
of how much,
by the way,
how much they packed into a Super Nintendo game.
We should start charging $49.99 for this.
You can make your donations too. TripleTheadPodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah.
Or whatever it was. So yeah, Legends of A Link to the Past. That's a game I could beat over and over and over and over again. And they finally released an official sequel to it for the 3DS called Link Between Worlds. And that game had a lot to live up to.
And did it?
And it did.
Oh.
It had basically the same map as Link to the Past. The same map, but the Dark World's different. All the dungeons are different, and it had the very cool element of you being able to merge with a wall to solve puzzles, which it doesn't sound like it would do very much. That didn't sell me on the game when I first heard about it, and then I saw the reviews come in, and everybody was going crazy for it. And playing it, yes, the merging into the walls is a very, very big part of that game.
What exactly does that mean?
Yeah.
Merging into a wall.
Thank you, Matt, for asking
Because
the question.
in my life, I can't look around and see people merging into walls or even talking about it. So if you could just.
So
comparing
in
it
this
to real life,
game,
probably not a good example, but-
in this game, you fight this bad guy. Who,
Ganon.
Of course, isn't who you're going to fight at the end. You fight Ganon at the end. Spoiler alert! But he turns people into paintings. So the first thing he does, he turns Zelda into a painting. And before you get turned into a painting, this character gives you like this innocuous little bracelet. He's like, "Oh, here's a smelly bracelet.
Nice.
Keep this." So you're like, "Oh, what's the point of this bracelet?" Well, you get turned into a painting, and not only do you get turned into a painting, but because of this bracelet, you're able to free yourself from a painting, and you can merge with a wall whenever you want. So basically, you're a little 3D character, and then all of a sudden you become a little 2D character, and you walk along the wall, and you can go around corners and solve puzzles that way. It's something it is interesting. It's hard to explain. I'd suggest looking a YouTube video up of it to kind of see it at play. It doesn't sound like much, but it's a really cool part of the game.
So does that mean that Ganon was probably the bad guy in Super Mario 64? Sorry, Mario 64? Considering that there are paintings in that as well?
Yes. Well, the painting aspect only got brought up for the 3DS in 2013. So no. And in fact, the bad guy in Mario is and will always be Bowser. It's like, what's his name?
Well, except for that time when he was a frog.
That's true. What was the frog's name
The
in
bad
Mario
guy was
2?
a frog, not him.
It was like
I'm looking at it. He was a king, I believe.
King. It had like a letter in it. King
It did have a letter in it.
I have
Baddie
no
Bad
idea
or
what you guys are
something.
Uh,
talking about.
It's a very dumb name.
You remember Super Mario Bros. 2? Yeah.
We were just talking about it. King. Yeah, whatever. So, Super Nintendo, we had a lot of fun with that. And then we got the next evolution in that, which was the N64. 64-bit graphics, 3D games. That system was awesome. What was I think the first game you got for 64 was Mario Kart 64, wasn't it?
Possibly. It was King Wart, by the way. It was the bad guy.
King Wart.
Yes.
So he was a toad. He wasn't a frog.
He's some sort of amphibious creature.
According to Wikipedia, he was an anthropomorphic frog king.
Okay. All right.
Thanks, Wikipedia.
Okay.
Maybe he has an ironic name. Yeah.
All right.
King Wart really needs to appear in Smash Brothers. I'm surprised he kind of hasn't.
Oh, yeah.
That'd be a good character to throw in
Sorry,
Smash
you were getting
Brothers.
into N64. I was researching King Wart. Let's get back to that.
So yeah, on to the next one. We're at 64. So we had the 64 and yeah, like I said, I think Mario Kart was like the first game we had for that, wasn't it? Mario Kart 64. We started with a small library and then it grew rather quickly. I know we never had a Mario 64. I know that.
We eventually owned it.
We eventually owned it because you played it, and then upon your most recent visit, you're like, oh yeah, go over here. Yeah, there's a guy there. All right. No, the baby penguin's down here. Like, you knew everywhere. I was like, what? How long ago did you play this? And you're like, I played it a lot in university.
Yep.
Yep.
But 64 was a good time, and then they came out with Zelda 64, the Ocarina of Time, which at first I didn't really like a whole lot because it was so radically different from Link to the Past because it was in 3D. The whole gameplay mechanic had kind of changed. But you go fishing. You can ride a horse.
That dude had unlimited cardio.
Yeah,
like,
very much.
He just run forever. He would not get tired. Like, he would just, like, stand there for a second, grabbing his knees, nothing.
Like I've said, unless you're like down to one heart, and then you get tuckered out pretty quickly.
Well, that's true.
Yeah. Like I've said, I've been playing a lot of Zeldas recently, and one thing you can do in Zelda is, like you said, Alex, you can just run around and swing your sword and run all day like it's nobody's business. Do 100 forward rolls in a row. Doesn't matter. This game called Dark Souls and Dark Souls 2. That's out on PlayStation 3, and I don't know if it's out for Xbox or not, but our good friend Ian Hanlon, friend of the show, he's been going on and on about this game. And the best way I can describe this game is it's Zelda in hell. It's old school difficulty meets new school game mechanics. But this game has a stamina bar. So you can't run around and swing your sword endlessly. You'll tucker yourself out. And you can't dash endlessly because you'll tucker yourself out. And if you get tuckered out when you're fighting somebody, you will not have the stamina to beat them, and you will die.
That's interesting.
And lose all your souls. It's an interesting game. If you're looking for a challenge, my fair gamers out there, pick up Dark Souls or Dark Souls 2 because it will challenge you in ways you never thought possible. Good game. But I like the Zelda games because you can't run around like crazy, and Link has, and he also, not only can he run and roll and swing his sword forever, he can also carry about 100 pounds of items just on his person somehow.
Yeah, unlimited.
Or same with GoldenEye when you have the unlimited guns code in GoldenEye.
Yeah, you have a tank built into you pretty much at that point.
Well, yeah, you can double.
Yeah.
I got that double fist rocket launchers.
I got that game for my birthday, and it's still one of my absolute favorite birthday gifts. And I know Mom and Dad were a little reluctant because it was quite violent.
It was rated T for teen, man.
You literally just murdered people the whole time. And so, Mom and Dad, I gotta say, don't feel bad now. That was a great game, and I'm not killing anybody.
Made a better person for it.
Yeah, GoldenEye was that game. I mean. Sure. In junior high, I would have, till 4 a.m. game sessions with my buddies where we'd this is back in the day when you could drink as much pops and eat as much chips as you possibly could and probably not gain any weight. And we'd just play video games all night long. Like Mario Kart, we play Star Fox multiplayer, and we play a lot of GoldenEye. And that game had so much replay value, especially as Barrel Roll. But GoldenEye had so much replay value, especially where the multiplayer was concerned. That was awesome.
Yeah.
You can play that forever.
The best part was
way better than the Mario Kart battle areas. But.
Yes. The spiritual sequel to GoldenEye, Perfect Dark, they did it even better because you didn't even need to have friends to play the multiplayer.
You can play the Meat Sims.
You can have simulants. That's right.
I replayed some of Perfect Dark.
I like how that's a selling point for you guys.
It was for me.
You don't need friends.
You can play by yourself. That's what we did.
The whole time. You say you never. I know. I never need friends again. I have all these easy sims, and I'll throw a hard sim in there if I want to really die a lot.
Yeah. It's funny. To this day, me and a friend of mine, we play Call of Duty Ghosts, and we play it with Recruit Sims. It's pretty much the same thing, but it's 2013 and not 2001 or 14. What day is it? But it's 2014 and not 2001, and we're still playing against essentially the equivalent of Meat Sims in a shooter game. It's just a little bit more advanced. But Perfect Dark was great. We had that. With the we could play that only with the expansion pack, which came with Donkey Kong Country 64, which we never beat because you have to beat the original Donkey Kong arcade game to get a coin to get you past a certain spot.
Oh my gosh!
And we never beat that because Donkey Kong the arcade game. Go watch King of Kong or A Fistful of Quarters. That's amazing. Billy Mitchell would have had no problem beating Donkey Kong 64. Because he could beat, the original. He has a high score. in Donkey Kong, the arcade game, which is a really hard arcade game. You wouldn't think it is if you're a little Mario dude jumping over barrels, but it's very, very difficult.
To get to a kill stream is basically impossible.
Exactly. Billy Mitchell will tell you it's basically impossible. I want his beard and his hair. But yeah, we had the expansion pack, and the expansion pack that also was only that you could use with Majora's Mask as well, which is another Zelda game I couldn't beat, and I would like to go back to beat it, but that was a hard one because of the save system. I remember because you had to achieve a certain goal basically within 3 days, and you play the Song of Time, and it would take you back to day one, and that's how you'd save the game. Or you could save it at an owl statue, but if you turned off the game, it wouldn't take you back to the owl statue. It would take you back to where you last played the song. So that's how complicated the save system was. And I remember I was playing, and this is when our little buddy, little Teddy, he was a pup back then, and he was running around, and I had this N64 kind of out away from our video cabinet.
I can already see this is not going to end well.
Well, he just zipped. Like, I was playing this like castle or something, and I had only saved at an owl statue, and Teddy zipped by and unplugged the system, and I was like, oh! And I think I hardly played the game after that because I was like, I can't be bothered. But Majora's Mask had some cool elements in it. But the 3-day save system thing was a bit of a jump for me. What else do we have on N64? I don't think we didn't have any sports games.
Banjo-Kazooie.
Oh, Banjo-Kazooie.
Yes.
I forgot about that. That game was awesome.
Banjo-Kazooie?
That was the best. One of the best.
It had an awesome... Like, that was the platformer we had instead of Mario 64, really. That's the one we know better. Hook yoke? And I remember the music... The music was awesome when you get like a jiggy piece.
I can't remember exactly, but something like that. Like, they dance around.
It's like
yeah.
Hook yo. And you'd say these little Jinjos. You'd be like Jinjo. Woohoo!
Yeah.
A lot of very high-voiced characters in these video games. I'm realizing. But that game was tremendous fun. We think we beat that game. We ended up beating Gruntilda at the end.
I don't know how you're picking these off the top of your head, but
oh man, no, that
I
was
remember
such a
their
fun
existence,
game.
and that's about it.
Well, like I said, we're all one piece of the brain, sirs. So Alex, you remember the name, and Matt and I, we remember the content.
Well, you know what we actually had. I know you said we didn't have any sports games, but we did have some sports entertainment games. If we want to kind of look back to reference our last one,
yeah, we didn't own those. That was actually those were another game.
Though.
Do you know that WCW versus NWO? I think was the first game to sell like multiple millions of copies, or the first wrestling game to sell a couple million copies. WCW versus NWO World Tour was the first one, and then it was
Revenge, probably.
WCW versus NWO Revenge. There's also WCW versus the World, but that was a PlayStation one. WCW versus NWO Revenge. That game was awesome. I remember that game very, very well.
Which game was the game that had, for whatever reason, like 20 fake wrestlers?
It was both.
That was both. They had like Kimchi and like Aki Man, Saladin.
A lot of them were apparently like Japanese wrestlers.
They
They didn't have the names for us. They just kind of gave them silly things. I mean, I think Revenge had like a Grim Reaper, like an executioner guy who did the big swing.
I think Kevin Nash, I might be wrong about this, but he said in a podcast interview that I think he made more money on that video game than anything else on the WCW video games. Because they had like some crazy royalty thing involved. Because I remember WCW vs. NWO Revenge was all about the stables. So it was about NWO Black and White, NWO Wolfpack, the what was Ravens, the Flock, and then WCW, and then there was like a couple other ones with those like weird, nobody knows what they're called wrestlers. But that game was cool. I remember Chris Jericho, he could do the cocky pin, and he'd be like, "Hurr!"
Yeah, way too baritone.
Yes. Yeah, that's true. Something like that.
We also had No Mercy, which is
No Mercy was because they had WWF WrestleMania 2000, was the first time. Because do you remember? So these NWO WCW games were made by this company called Aki, which is part of THQ, sorry, which no longer exists. And then they had other WWF games, like there was WWF Raw for N64, which tried to go for like very realistic graphics and just ended up looking very stupid.
It was horrible. I remember trying to play that once, and like it was all sorts of different button combinations and things like that.
It was really hard to play, and what THQ did really well in the WCW games was just you grapple and you press a direction and a button and you execute a move. It was so easy to pick up and play, and so much fun. It was so much fun too. I remember we had so much fun playing the Battle Royal mode, which is, or like a Royal Rumble mode, basically, which like you pick a guy and you don't know when he's going to come in. He hits the ring and he's like, here's my guy. And then he gets thrown out and you're like, crud. And then it's over. But then THQ and Aki, I think it was another company. I can't remember what they were called. Crud. Started making the WWF games. So they made WWF WrestleMania 2000. They made and WWF No Mercy, which was like the granddad. Like it combined all the best elements of those games. A great creator wrestler. It had all these like wacky wrestlers from the Attitude Era. It had all these great sets. You could I think you could brawl in the back, right?
I'll be honest. I created a wrestler on WWF No Mercy as recently as 2 nights ago.
I was gonna say, like you played.
I made CM Punk.
Yeah. Oh wow!
And
he
looks great.
Wrestling video games like way, way, way after we even like used the system anymore. You're playing like WCW.
No Mercy is still unparalleled. Like it's still the gameplay is still the best.
Now, Matthew, can we send out a Twitter request? Can you take a screenshot of your CM Punk from No Mercy?
Oh, absolutely. I also have a modern Brock Lesnar that I made recently as well.
Have you guys ever seen? Have you seen Conan ever do Clueless Gamer?
Oh, it's the best.
Yes, I have. Yeah.
Yeah. So did you see him make his Conan wrestler in the new WWE video game?
Yeah, like 2K14, I think. Yeah, I remember that.
It's very good.
He actually did the new Super Smash Bros. Too, which looks amazing.
Oh, yeah. That game's gonna be great.
But didn't mean to. I digress. But it was just funny to watch Conan made in the WWE video game because it's hilarious to watch.
Well, he's always been pretty good to the company WWE. He's been he's been good with them. So that's what else do we have on 64? We had those wrestling games, and I think it was pretty much it. And that pretty much did it for the old school games. Then I got a GameCube and a PS3 and moved out here, and I got the Wii and the Wii U and all that stuff. But that was pretty much the extent of our, and to this day, Matt, you got into hockey in the last couple of years, and somehow you became a god at NHL games, which drives me nuts.
Thank you.
Although Alex, I recently beat Alex's streak of games in the Madden series.
Oh, for some reason, Will would own Madden. He'd play it for a while, then he'd come home for Christmas, and I'd kill him every time. And then I went to his place in Vancouver, and the same thing happened. And only till this past Christmas did he buck the trend. So I'm still gonna.
That's true.
Try and defeat that. So the new Madden this year, I think you can pick your own pitcher for it. But I might be wrong.
Oh, well, Matt, you put yourself in a Madden game, haven't you?
What do you mean?
You took a picture of yourself.
Well, I forget what that was originally for. I think it might have been. So when you get there's certain EA Sports games where you can like take a picture of yourself and upload it online and then put it in the game. And you can do this with any picture. So people have put Barack Obama in their games and things like that. So my picture is horrifying because when you take the picture, it doesn't know that you're it doesn't identify facial hair as not skin. So it thinks I have this disgusting, like reddish brown patch of skin on my face that is actually
you had a horrific rash on your chin.
So you have to add your own hair after the fact, but I have like this ridiculous beard throughout it as well. So whenever I win the Super Bowl in Madden as the owner of a team, I literally come out and my wife watches it and she gets very disturbed. She does not like seeing virtual me at all. I look horrible.
Oh man,
yeah,
that is hilarious. And Alex, we had fun a couple years ago too. I got Black Ops 2, Call of Duty.
Oh
we played,
my god,
like, zombie
I love
mode
Call of Duty. I'm just so bad at it.
Yeah, I'm garbage at it.
You're terrible. You and I were both terrible at the zombie levels.
That's hard.
Oh,
it's very, very difficult.
We couldn't really even we'd get out and get into the bus and make whatever you had to make to put a tool together. And just like I I feel like this should be easier than it is.
Really, really damn difficult.
I don't know if it's notorious for being.
It is supposed to be quite hard.
Okay.
So it's like it's not a long part of the game. It's just very challenging. It's old school, right? What it lacks in content, it makes up for in challenge.
I guess.
So there you go.
Easy.
PS4. I'm not about to pick one up anytime soon. Matt, what about you?
Yeah, it'll be a little while for me.
It's too many ducats, man. $450 for a system. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I picked up my PS3 a few years ago for $300, and I don't know if I would go much higher than that at this point.
Like the Wii U I bought it used. It was $270 for the Wii U. So that's not a bad price.
I've never bought a video game system on my own.
You just leached off of ours.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we got to do this again. We just got to talk about our Game Boy games and anything modern as well.
Well, that's true. They talk about Pokemon. You had red, didn't you, Matthew? I think you had red.
I had gold as well.
I had blue and silver and yellow.
Oh, good for you.
Played a lot of that. Good for you.
I had the one where you get to go outside a lot.
That was
That was the one. Real life,
right? That was my life. Okay.
Real life.
That was the one.
There's you can get emulators on your iPhone without having a jailbreak that you can play Pokemon on. I have one on my phone right now.
Really?
Yeah.
That's dangerous.
Yeah, it is because
emulator link, man. At some point, so
I'll have to hook you up.
Tweet it out, Matt. What do you on Twitter?
I am MP Vaughn on Twitter.
Alex, what about you?
Evonix.
I'm at William C. Vaughn. Thanks for listening this week, folks. I think that should about do it for the old school games. And hey, why don't you tweet us with your favorite game memories, and we'll share.
Or
for sure.
To yourself, whatever, man. It doesn't matter.
This is the next podcast you're going to listen to is going to be when both of us are going to be, Alex and myself are both going to be in Halifax.
Yeah.
So we will be in the same city, and that will make no difference to the listeners.
In different places.
Yes, it's true.
Thanks a lot for listening, folks, and indulging us. And like, rate, share on iTunes, and do something nice for someone you don't know.
Yeah, or someone you do know. I mean,
But preferably someone you don't know.
No, it's someone you do know. It doesn't matter.
You can do it
to
somebody from somebody else.
Yeah.
Share the love.
Love to share.
Bye, everybody.
Do you believe in life after love?